Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Big Jadon Sancho news, but a big question I've got for you as well. How many hobnobs can you dip in a cup of tea before you get full? Because I find a hobnob, if I eat it dry, 1 or 2 max. But if I'm dipping them in tea, softens it up, I can get through. I think I could eat well over half a packet. But also, I have actually got a serious question for you as well. It's a scenario, and it's a scenario that it relates to Jadon Sancho. There's some big transfer news this morning, potentially, but there is some big news actually, because there's comments from him and there's comments from Dortmund, as well as the article we're going to discuss as well. But the scenario is this, and I think it's a real one. Jadon Sancho comes to Manchester United. Manchester United get top 4. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer stays. Jadon Sancho doesn't come to Manchester United. Manchester United don't get top 4. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets sacked and gets replaced. Which would you want out of those two? So Ole stays, top 4, Sancho. Ole goes top 4, no top 4, no Sancho. I think it will split. I think it will split because I think people will go, well, I want, Ole's not the right man. Long term, you need a coach. Some people will go, well, I just want Sancho and I want Champions League. So I think that those two scenarios are very, very realistic, because I think Sancho will come to United if we get top 4, and I think that Solskjaer will probably stay if we get top 4. So for me personally, honest answer. Where's the lose? Where is the? I mean, there is a lose. You don't get Sancho and you don't get top 4, but then you get a better coach potentially. If you do get top 4, Ole stays. You get Sancho. You get Champions League football. So for me, as I keep saying, let's just wait and see what happens in May. But let me tell you the situation with Jadon Sancho. He spoke at the weekend after the Dortmund game about his future and said, "I'm not thinking about it at the moment." Standard answer. Then we've had this article from the Telegraph this morning saying that Manchester United are leading the race for Jadon Sancho, that they are willing to pay him over £200,000 a week. Apparently he's on about 190 now, but United don't have a problem with paying him £200,000 a week. And that, real competitors for Jadon Sancho will be people like Chelsea, who've got Ziyech and may not be able to afford it. Liverpool, who with the players they've already currently got, Salah, Mane, Firmino, will they want to pay someone £200,000 a week, and where would they fit him in? It suits United to go for this deal. They can do the financial package. They need that player, and Sancho does want to come to the Premier League. The only potential sticking point is that Manchester City don't have a first refusal, but they do have a first chance to match the offer that anybody puts in. But will Sancho want to go to Man City? He's still got to want to go there. And would Man City want to spend that sort of money to bring a player back? I know we did it with Pogba, but I just don't think City would be in it. So United, Champions League football, Sancho. Now, what Dortmund have said, before I talk about that on the left, what Dortmund have said is, their chief executive, I think it was, has come out and said, we want Jadon Sancho to stay. We're not worried about him going in the summer. We think he can see what's going on here. Again, I think that's null and void. I think Sancho is clearly going to be probably the biggest signing in the summer at this moment in time, and that's where the press are focusing. So you do get Sancho asked, you do get Dortmund asked, and I think at the moment they're not going to say Sancho's definitely leaving, because they want it to appear that they're in a position of strength. Like, maybe Jadon doesn't want to go. Ooh, if he's going to go, it's going to take a massive offer, as we expect. So I don't listen to anything of that. I think the most important thing from a Manchester United perspective is that when we're looking forward, and we're looking forward to the summer and potentially signing Jadon Sancho, we're going to need Champions League football, which goes hand in hand with what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets Champions League football, he probably stays in post. And if we get Champions League football, we get Jadon Sancho. I don't think if Ole gets the sack, because he will get the sack if we don't get Champions League football, I think that's fair enough, isn't it? I think most people agree with that. If we don't get Champions League football, we're not getting Jadon Sancho. So, the third scenario that I just think is massively unlikely, no Champions League football, no Jadon Sancho, and Ole stays. I just don't think his position would be tenable if he doesn't get Champions League football. So, look, for me, let's just wait and see what happens with that. What I would say is, and it sort of feeds into Ole's future, maybe a new manager, whatever, that team on the left is, and look, you can argue about Brandon Williams at left back, you can argue about Eric Bailly at right back, you could even say, why is McTominay holding the midfield, it should be Matic, but whatever. Those players are still in the squad, so they can move about. What I'm trying to show you is that I think this is the team that Ole doesn't pick formation-wise anymore. He did it in his first 3 months a lot. 1 holding midfielder, 2 box-to-box, and a dynamic front 3. and we were the most successful. Now, look, I don't want to go on about that loads, because that first 3 months was basically go out there and enjoy yourself. No one had any pressure on them. So it's very different to when he was given the full-time job. But what we can't dispute is we've never really gone back to that formation again. And I did like it. And I'd like it a hell of a lot more with that front three, Rashford, Martial and Sancho. That's why when I see that diamonds that we played against Everton, and I've seen these back fives that we've played against Chelsea and Liverpool, ultimately United need width. And the width shouldn't be coming from fullbacks. We're not bloody Spurs. We're Manchester United. We've always had wingers, and we want wingers. And we didn't see that with the bloody diamond. And I don't see that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to go ahead with a diamond formation when he was brought up on Manchester United and wingers. We need wingers. And Jadon Sancho is without question one of the best right wingers in world football at the moment. Marcus Rashford off the left, he was one of the best in Europe when he was fit. You've suddenly got that balance, that symmetry. Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left, Martial up front. All of them can switch around if they need to. Greenwood off the bench, maybe bring another striker in as well. That's how I want United. And everyone talks about the back and everyone talks about the midfield, but ultimately, let's not be hypocrites. The reason, goals win the eyes, and Manchester United, whatever, goals are where it's at. We can all get technical and go, I'm a great, look at me, I'm so deep with my football knowledge. Oh, he's such a good deep lying playmaker in the centre defensive midfield position. Only real football people understand that. And yeah, that's true, but ultimately, we're all shallow, really. The strikers are where it's at. And I want to see a Manchester United front three. I do. I really want to see that. And I think that team on the left, look, you're potentially adding a Maddison or a Grealish if Pogba goes, or if Pogba stays, he stays in that team. Whatever. But what I'm talking about, that team on the left there, if that's to be our team next season, that's only with one signing coming in. We'll make more than one signing. But how much of an improvement is that team on the left is what I'm trying to say. Whatever your formation, as long as you've got that front three, you can still play the 4-2-3-1 if you want to. But that team is a decent team. And the question would be, what would Solskjaer do with that team? It would be... I think whatever happens next season, if we get Sancho in the team and Bruno has a full run, and we do get a couple of extra midfielders in, we can't have a season as bad as this year. We can't. There will be improvement next year, because you can't have a season as bad as this. In relation to points tally, we're on course for our worst ever Premier League season. So we will improve, and Jadon Sancho will improve us a lot. And he will also fill a position where we've not... we talk about the midfield and the number 10, and Bruno has filled a position very, very well. But we also need it on the right wing, and we've needed it for a while. So look, I think this deal's there to be done. I'm not going to start saying it's done. I think United can get it done, will get it done if we get Champions League football. I would love to think if we don't get Champions League football, we can still do it. But I think a lot would depend on... You'd almost have to sell Sancho the dream, really, and say, look, we haven't got Champions League football, but we've got Pochettino coming in, or we've got, Nagelsmann or whoever, and sell him a project. I don't think he's going to come in if we've got no Champions League football, we've had a bad season and Ollie's in charge, because I think he's intelligent enough when you look at how he got away from Man City to go, I'm going to do what's best for my career. So, massive few weeks for Manchester United, but look, that's how we could look with Sancho next year, regardless of who the manager is. So, he is. Let's be honest. I mean, I don't think I've said it enough. Really, who's my number one priority for that right wing position? It is him. It is him. Maybe I haven't said that enough, but for me, it is. I don't know about you. He is the number one priority for that position. I'm just very concerned about it because, I think we can win the race, but it's the circumstances we can offer. It's the stability we can offer a player who's been absolutely superb in constructing his career, getting out of Man City to go to Germany very young, to because he wanted first team football. I just don't see him doing all that to then go, I'll just go to United for the money, even though they're not in the Champions League. So the next few weeks are massive. They really are. Anyway, we're live again at 8 o'clock. Call in tonight. Really looking forward to that. Smash a like on the video, and I will speak to you all soon. Get your comments in below about the scenarios and the questions and the hobnobs.